Hello YouTube, Code here, um, with another little shop video. So nothing's really moved a whole lot since my last video I did. Something I don't need anymore is this little thing, because I found my mini tripod that had my little phone holder attachment. Don't need that. That's a good thing. Um, Box there. So I still have some little things I gotta clean up off the desk, but the main thing here is I need to get this back. I'm trying not to drop my phone here. I need to get that back down on the side here. And what we had before was we had this. I'm gonna be using the same thing pretty much. Yeah, let me see if I can get in shot here. We had this. There we go. We had this board here. I have these little fins on it to kind of. The idea was to prevent it from bowing down. It was going to be just enough just to prevent it from bowing down. But I made them out of half-inch plywood, like the drill holder itself. It was more or less whenever I cut this on the CNC. It was more or less just so it was just kind of taking up some more material, so less material was going in the trash. But they didn't work out. So I do have this leftover 2x3. It's an even 3 inches. It's not a 2x4, so otherwise it'd be 3.5. So this here is an actual 3-inch board, 3 inches wide. It just left over from whenever I made the table. I actually still have a couple of those custom little 2x3s. I just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 of them still. 4 of which are 10.5 feet long, and the other one is 12 foot long. So yeah, I still have all those. But this one is the easiest one to get to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut pieces that are a little bit shorter than what the shelf is. And we're going to screw those directly into the board. So I'd be screwing over on this side that way, and it'd be sticking out. So I can set my shelf back down there. And I'm probably going to see if I can get it on camera again. Rip these fins off. You can't really see it on this video, but I just nailed these in. And the nails missed in a lot of spots. So I'm just going to rip it out, cut off the excess nail, and throw those in the trash, because I don't need them. But let's get started on that. Alright, to get started, I'm just going to rip these little fins off. You can see there's not a lot of much supporting them in there. I'm just going to take my hammer and rip them off. Take some snips here, cut off the extra bits of nail that's left over. Alright, now what I want to do is, where all these nails are just left over, all the little bits are left over, I'm going to go over with my hammer. I want to just kind of smack them in a little bit, that way they're not sticking out. There's a little nub there where all of them are sticking out. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to just hit everyone with my hammer a couple times until they're a little more flush with the board. Alright, now it's all a little bit smoother, so it should all hopefully sit down on my little supports. Should all fit very nicely. I'm not really concerned, like you can see. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's like little tore up spots in the plywood from the veneer kind of peeling off. that's fine. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see the top, which... Guess I can't win with these nails. They didn't go into the board enough. Now they're poking through on the other side. So, oh well. It'll be fine if they're poking through on this side. It's not going to really hurt anything with this, because this doesn't, the drill holder doesn't really get screwed or fastened to this board in any way. I made this so I can just kind of lift it, put it wherever I need it. Right now, the best spot for it is at the side of the bench, because I can still get to my drills and everything, and get all my drill bits. I just put it up here so we get the shelf, not the shelf, the cabinet in place. So, but these are sticking through a little bit. It doesn't bother me too much just because of what it actually does. If it was something I need to look pretty, I try to, you know, get them out some way. I probably would have taken pliers and pulled all the nails out instead of snapping them off. But I really don't feel like pulling every single one of them out. So, it is what it is. But now let's move this off. We got to put this board here somewhere. I don't know if you can see it in the shot or not. And we're going to get the miter saw out, and we're going to chop up a couple little support pieces for this for the shelf. I'm probably going to make them the same length as this, because they don't have to come out the whole way. Just long enough to support it. I mean, if it's overhanging, it'll, like, what, 3-4 inches, it'll be fine. They don't have to be the length of the shelf. But I'll see you guys whenever I get all of that set up and squared away. Alright, so cutting all these off was a bad idea, because I'm going to be finding these nail ends until I'm done living here. And then some of them will still manage to follow me wherever I move. So, probably should have pulled them out. Alright, let's get back to the video. Alright, I'm going to apologize if you hear humming in the background. But this board here, it was, I had just looked at it. Let me listen this a little bit more. I just looked at it, and it's cracked from here. It goes down along the side, comes back up, and goes off here. So that pretty much makes, you know, from here down to here, something I really don't want to be using, since it's already split. So, yeah, it's also cracked on the back in that same section as well. So, I might have to get out the, one of my 10-footers or my 12-footer and chop that up a little bit for this. Although they are a pain to get to back there. That's going to be fun. Oh yeah, about the humming. If you hear humming in the video from now on, that is my furnace. It's going to be kicking on and off all day probably. Just part of working in the basement, I guess. But yeah, we're going to see if I can maybe find some other pieces. There might be a piece I'm looking at right here that I might be able to chop up. Because it's part of this, it's this whole 2x3. It's not an actual 2x4. So, if you want to know how I got these 2x3s, my work had some really junky 2x8s that weren't in the greatest condition, and I had them chopped into 3-inch strips so I could make my workbench. Well, I have some left over, and since they're made from junk 2x8s, I have these junk 2x3s. They're great. That's all I'll say. So let's see if I can figure something out and get these braces cut in some kind of fashion. Alright, so what I did is I cut the beginning part of that piece. I cut it at 13 inches. What I had said, I'm just going to do about a foot long piece for each brace, and I want to cut off the old end to make sure it's still a little more square. And then I cut out this section here. This is the section that's all cracked and split. I really don't want to use it for this purpose, but I might use it as like to hold something that's drying when I paint it. And then I got the rest of this piece here. It's a little over 2 foot, so I'm going to get 2 pieces out of this. I would have cut this end first, but my problem is I don't have a lot of room with stuff at this end, and my saw is almost hanging off the table, and stuff's going that way. So I want to try to avoid cutting as many of those 12-foot and 10-foot pieces as much as possible. This saw, by the way, it doesn't have a little bag on it to catch sawdust, so I just always hook my my vacuum up to it, turn the vacuum on, and then chop all my pieces. So, but yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna try and get that piece that's in that pile right here. I'm gonna try to get this piece, see if I can cut that up. Because that looks to be like those 2x3s, like the rest of the 2x3s. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll see once I find some more wood, because this here is what, 1, 2, 3 pieces, and I want 4 or 5, so I need at least 2 more feet of this board. I might have some of my rafters behind me. I'll have to look and see what I can find. Alright, I think I'm only going to do 4 supports for now. I don't think I'm going to need that 5th one. If I do 2 on the ends and kind of spread these 2 out in the middle a little bit, I think that'll be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to move under. We're going to drill these. Well, I have self-tapping screws, but I'm just going to put these 3-inch screws, hold them in place. Those aren't my normal 3. That's not my normal 3-inch screw. I don't know what that is. These are my normal 3-inch screws. They're square heads, number 2, and they're self-tapping, so don't have to worry about drilling them out. I was going to put two screws per thing, should hold fine. And I'm not concerned. They're not all the exact same height. You know, these don't have to be an exact finished height. You know, they're close enough to all being 12 inches, so you're not really gonna see them because they're gonna be under the shelf. So, in between getting everything set up for the next shot, I might decide to cut a 5th one. We'll see if that happens or not. Yeah, I decided to cut a 5th one, just for a little extra support. Also makes it kind of divvying up the space just a little bit nicer. Alright, I'm down here on the ground. I have lines. I marked out where each one's going to go, and I've kind of measured everything out so it's all kind of even, within about a 1/4 inch or so. It doesn't really matter too much. I just kind of wanted something that's a little done better, just a little bit. It's a little bit better than how I did it last time. Last time I sort of eyeballed everything. So this time I measured it out a little bit, you know, put a little bit of a thought into it. I'm going to try to use these little clamps here to sort of clamp like in the middle of both pieces to sort of hold it in place while I screw it from this side. And yeah, something you guys got to miss is I had to move my air compressor out while having this board conveniently here. So I'm going to up off the ground here. I'm going to get everything that I need down here, and we're going to get started. Alright, I got everything here in place. Got my screws, my impact, my clamps, these, and you can't really see it, but off to the side I have the little board that gets screwed down on top of here. So, I'm just going to try to, like I said, clamp these sort of into place. So, I want to get this like in the rough position there. I want to try to come at the corner. And just tighten that down to hold it. Just so it'll hold it just enough. I want it on both pieces. Just hold it in place. And try and make sure it's all straight. It'll be a little easier once you get one screw in. And I'm just using these 3-inch self-tapping screws. I can take that off, and it looks pretty good, so I'm not gonna argue with that too much. You know, it seems pretty good on both sides of the line. So go put a second one in, that way it doesn't twist later on. And I don't think this here is going anywhere. So I'm going to repeat that process 4 more times. Alright, and that is those. I put 3 screws in it instead of 2 like I originally was going to do. Just because when I got to this one, I'm like, it just seemed a little wobbly. So I put a 3rd screw in that seemed to work fine for it. I was worried if I was going to have enough screws to even put this board here back on and back in place. Because in this here, I'm just going to screw it straight down to the, if I can get it somewhat lined up with my back edge. There we go. Alright, and I'm just going to put a clamp on that. Just hold it nice and tight in place. And I'm going to put 5 or 6 screws in this, probably whatever I have left here. There's some old holes here. I'm not going to fill those in because those are kind of questionable. Some of those are questionable at hitting the screws that I just put in. So we're just going to put one. I'd say that's good. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm not worried about putting them out in the front. Those are more or less prevented from sagging too much. I honestly think it'll be just fine the way it is. If I feel like I need to in the future, I can do that. I mean, because you can hear it rattle, so it's a little loose in one spot. It's probably because these boards here, they're not exactly they're not exactly in the best shape. They're not all exactly straight. So, but they work for stuff like this. You know, I'm just gonna set something down on this, and I just don't want it to bend down in under like it was before. So I'm going to get up from here, and we're going to set the drill holder back down here. Just give me a minute. Now, let's put this back in place. We're going to put it right where it goes. Let's kind of move it back up against And you can tell it leans just a little bit. That's fine. Alright, that is where this stays from now on. I'm happy it is done. Just need to put all of my drills in place back on it. Alright guys, so everything's put away. Besides some of the other tools I used earlier today. And I'm back to having about less than 2 feet of room to walk through here. But I'm okay with that because this opens up my, not having this up here, opens up my end of my workbench so I can hang boards off of it. So, you know, that way whenever I'm cutting stuff like this 12-foot thing, I have to use my entire workbench, the space of my entire workbench. I can't do that if this is sitting up here. What I want to do eventually is I'm going to be building a shelf, hopefully soon. I might put this on the side of the shelf over there, but we'll see. For right now, this here, I built this a while ago, cut it on the CNC, and the sheet moved while I was cutting, so everything wasn't already grooved and everything, but then when it came to cutting stuff out, the sheet moved, so nothing lines up on it, but it lined up just enough to put together, so it got put together the way it is. And that's how this project went. Yeah, I do want to try to figure out a little bit better storage solution for this because it does take up a lot of walkway area here. I mean, it takes up about half the walkway through here. But it's in place. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I want to try to make this quick, wrap this up. Hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I know it's not nothing major, nothing big, no big fancy project, but here is something I wanted to put something out this week. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you hopefully next week for another